All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready because it is Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time to do the Dow Now Tuesday Dow, ladies and gentlemen. Reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. But we're not just reading. I mean, I'll read a little bit of it because these chapters are little, but it's more of us discovering a verse of the Tao Te Ching and then talking about the philosophies and the wisdom and the spirituality and everything that can change our life that comes from these verses of the Tao Te Ching. Because we're all about increasing the quality of life, ladies and gentlemen, and a secret to that is changing our thoughts in a way that we have a new awareness. And so we can then change our life. Let me adjust the camera here, get a little higher, a little more room. And ladies and gentlemen, today it looks like we are on the 52nd verse of the Tao Te Ching. Wayne Dyer titles this lesson, Living by Returning to the Mother. What do you think the mother might be? There was a certain religion which was referred to God or, the Great Spirit as the Father. And so this one being titled Living by Returning to the Mother. So maybe the mother is the more feminine version of the quote unquote father. Now, let's dive right into the 52nd verse of the Tao Te Ching. It begins by saying, All under heaven have a common beginning. This beginning is the mother of the world. Having known the mother, we may proceed to know her children. Having known the children, we should go back and hold on to the mother. Keep your mouth shut, guard the senses, and life is ever full. Open your mouth, always be busy, and life is beyond hope. Seeing the small is called clarity. Keeping flexible is called strength. Using the shining radiance, you return again to the light and save yourself misfortune. This is called the practice of eternal light. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, fascinating. It's fascinating also that I mentioned the Father there, because also in the teachings of Christianity, there is this reference of eternal light, the eternal light. And so here in the Tao, 2,500-year-old Chinese wisdom and spirituality, there is this thing. It also says the last line or stanza of the 52nd verse of the Tao Te Ching, which is talking about returning to the mother, or we always hear about, returning to the father. And then the last line is, this is called the practice of eternal light. So there's a connection there, ladies and gentlemen. It's important and very fascinating to remember that there are connections between all religions. Well, maybe not religions, but spiritual teachings of great spiritual masters throughout the ages. And so let's dive right into what Wayne Dyer has to say about this 52nd verse, which is very powerful. Living by returning to the mother. Wayne begins by saying, ladies and gentlemen, this verse tells you that it's valuable and important to realize that your life is more than just a linear experience happening in time and space. There's more to it. So, Wayne continues, that is, you more or less currently view your time on earth as a straight line from conception to birth. You'll move through predictable stages of development, concluding with death, where you'll meet up with the mystery that awaits you on the other side. I mean, isn't this what most of us are taught and what most of us thought when, before we started to discover the greater teachings that there are about spirituality and these deeper subjects? And so Lao-tzu, Wayne continues, is inviting you to see that your existence is a return trip to the place where all the planets, creations emerge. So he wants you to realize that you have the ability to enjoy this mysterious beginning before your physical ending. This mystery, which is in each and every one of us, and in each and every one of the 10,000 things which we know Lao-tzu refers to as the physical world we find ourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. And so is referred to by Lao-tzu as the mother. So this mystery, which is in each and everything, is referred to as the mother, or the symbol of what lies beyond all that seems to begin and end. So it's this force, this the thing that lies within and lies beyond, much like the Father was described in Christianity, but there was much more of a separation rather than the connection there in that reference. But let this thought filter into your physical being and create a state of awe about your existence, Wayne says, which emerged out of no thingness. Know that this unseen source that births every single thing also birthed you, like electricity streaming through a conduit. The mysterious nothingness or no thingness. See, in his lectures, Wayne makes a point about the difference between no thingness and nothingness, because we think of nothingness as just pure blank, like a blank slate or just pure black. But no thingness could be maybe a force or an energy, or what it is that we're always describing here when we try to describe the true nature of the grand organized design. But there's a difference between no thingness, which means there could still be this force, but there's just not separation of things, the 10,000 things that we find here in this plane of ever-changing physical reality. So instead of nothing, there isn't this separation of things. I thought I would make that distinction there. Now, know this unseen source that births every single thing also birthed you. So like electricity streaming through a conduit, the mysterious no thingness flows through and sustains all of life, including me, including you, ladies and gentlemen, and including the trees and the birds and all the life that it is that you see around us that is part of this world of the 10,000 things. So Wayne continues, it's a constant, invisible, soundless, odorless force which isn't immediately available to our sensory selves, so to our five senses. It is vital, Wayne says, that you spend a few moments each day getting to know your and my, Wayne says, and each of our eternal mother, as he describes it, or getting to know this force, going inside. What is he saying here? It's vital that we spend a few moments each day, even if it's 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, to try to take a deep breath, do what some would call meditation, but I think contemplation is an easier way to put it for people. And contemplate your connection to that creative force that is and has not ever experienced any separation, because it is all things. And we are it, so it is not separate from us either. It gets very deep. That's why it's important to spend a few moments each day contemplating this so you can get to know your and my quote-unquote eternal mother, as Wayne and Lao-tzu describes it here, referencing this 50-second verse of the Tao Te Ching. If you're getting value, consider subscribing, and if you're already subscribed, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. This is deep and fascinating and profound, ladies and gentlemen, powerful. So how do we do this? How do we spend a few moments each day getting to know this eternal mother, this force? Wayne says we can do this by simply acknowledging the presence and silently communicating with it. He used here in this description her presence and communicating with her. once you decide to know and honor it, I'll say it as describing the force, he says her as describing the Great Mother, you'll begin to change the way that you look at all of her children, including yourself. Remember, change your thoughts, change your life. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. You'll view all of the 10,000 things of separation here in the physical material world as offspring of the mother. And you'll look beyond the temporariness of their appearances and see the Tao unfolding. Remember, everyone is just God in all of his distressing disguises. I love that one. And we can be able to, when we can have that viewpoint, we can look beyond the temporariness of our appearances to see the force, to see God unfolding in everyone. This is what Lao-tzu means when he asks you, Wayne says, to know the children not as separate from their mother, but as the mother herself. So not as separate from the force, but as a part of the force itself. When you take a drop of water out of the ocean, is it no longer water? Well, you say no. It was water and it still is water. And so what the waves are doing on the ocean is like what we are doing in, in God or in the Tao. It's an interesting concept to try to come to know yourself, but it's important to do these contemplation exercises so that we can come to know this force, the father, the mother, whatever you want to call it, ladies and gentlemen. Key thing is understanding, because a lot of people will ask questions about God. And I think the most important answer to all the questions that most people will ask about God is that we need to stop coming from a viewpoint of separation. So we always think, well, if God does this, or why does, it's like we're saying that there is some, being or entity or, judge or ruler, which is what the Elohim was, if you know anything about translations. But there's like this separation thing, and so that's what causes all the confusion, ladies and gentlemen, to where what is being described here is something that we are not separate from. Sorry, I've had to pound on that point, but I think that answers a lot of questions for people that are confused about God. It's like, stop thinking about it like we are separate from it. And then imagine if you could zoom out and look at all time from, thousands of years ago to thousands of years in the future, and that would just be a blip in time. And you could say, well, one point in the center of there might seem tragic for this individual, but it makes sense on the long scheme of things. So get over yourself. I'm kidding, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's like you'll view all of the 10,000 things as the offspring of the mother. So we're all connected. You'll look beyond the temporariness of our appearances and see the Tao, the force unfolding. This is what Lao-tzu means when he asks you to know the children not as separate from their mother, but as the mother herself. So see all creation as originating in the Tao, in the force, and then going back, and then go back and hold on to it. It's fascinating. How do you embark on this return trip to our eternal source? Ladies and gentlemen, Lao-tzu advises that you close your mouth. So that was where he said, shut your mouth. Wayne puts it a bit more kindly there, but Lao-tzu said, keep your mouth shut, guard the senses, and life is ever full. Whoa, I'll get that, ladies and gentlemen. That was funny, ladies and gentlemen. That's my mom calling. And we can continue that conversation afterwards when we're doing the details, ladies and gentlemen. It's funny. It's like It's like when you're in the movie theater and you forget to put your phone on silent. No, I normally do have my phone on silent. I think it was a rare occasion where I had the volume up, but no worries, ladies and gentlemen. We're reading about returning to the mother, and it was my mom that called. So I look forward to talking to you after this video, Mom. I send love. And so hopefully all of you stay in touch with your mom, ladies and gentlemen. It's important. And it's ironic being that we're reading about returning to the mother. But let us continue. So let's see, how do you embark on this? Yes, you close your mouth and seal your ears. So he was saying, open your mouth. So keep your mouth shut, guard the senses, and life is ever full. Open your mouth, always be busy, and life is beyond hope. So, stop being so wild or crazy, ladies and gentlemen. But Wayne continues, Lao-tzu advises that we close our mouth and seal our ears to ensure that our spirit isn't frittered away by worldly activities or, captured and drawn in by worldly activities. In other words, Wayne says, spend time with the maternal part of yourself and seek clarity by noticing the Tao in the small and the large, the micro and the macro, ladies and gentlemen. And so practice abandoning rigidity and instead cultivate elasticity to improve your strength. Interesting. See, it's always the paradox, the opposite of what we expect there. Lao-tzu concludes by telling you that this way of seeing the world is the practice of eternal light. And that was what was so powerful for me. It's like, whoa, see that light in the tiniest insect and even in the invisible particle that forms that little creature's leg. It's the same light that beats your heart and that holds the universe in place, ladies and gentlemen. So allow yourself, Wayne says, to not just be in awe of the insect, but to be that insect in a deeper sense. In this way, you find clarity through seeing the small, and you'll improve the power of your new way of seeing through your flexible viewpoint. Change your linear thoughts about your presence here on Earth and begin to see our life change right before our eyes. Lao-tzu offers the following to you through me, Wayne says, to aid us in this practice of eternal light in today's world. So the suggestion here is open mouth, spirit escapes. Closed mouth, spirit connection excellent. And that's interesting when it comes to speak less and listen more. It's a lesson that I need to learn, ladies and gentlemen, but being the kind of person that I am, I like to try to get these subjects to as many people as I possibly can. But that goes to what we talked about last week about, the teacher and living by hidden virtue and how the real way to teach is through example and through being the mirror. But anyways, think of your mouth, Wayne says, as a gate that guards your spirit. When you speak to others, become conscious of the need to close the door and allow your spirit to be safely ensconced within you. Make the same mental shift with your ears. See, I think this one's really big, especially nowadays. Make the same mental shift with your ears, so keep them guarded. Keep them sealed when it comes to rumors and petty conversations. Use fewer words. Commit yourself to long periods of listening and eliminate giving advice, meddling, and participating in gossip. So I guess that means we're done for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Cultivate your strength with the flexibility of consciously deciding when to involve your speaking and auditory senses. When you're inclined to get into other people's business, this is getting real practical now, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that your eternal mother's one and only voice is silence. That reminds me of one of the things that Wayne Dyer says in his talks, which is, my long periods of listening. I would put on Wayne and listen to him for hours on end, just listening, trying to take it in. It's actually my favorite thing to do, is just listen to people talk about subjects that I find are very important, which is what got me here. One day I was like, wait a minute, I'm just listening to all these people talk about things that seem to be important to me, that I think are life-changing and that have changed my life. Who am I? Why can't I do the same thing? Because it's something I'm passionate about and I'd like to share it with other people. But so we are all students and teachers, ladies and gentlemen, just in different forms of the same thing at different times. Now, using fewer words, cultivate your strength with the flexibility of deciding when to involve your speaking and auditory senses. So instead of getting in other people's business, remember that our eternal mother's one and only voice is silence. That's where I was going to go. So in Wayne's speeches, he would talk about God's one and only voice is silence. So if we want to come to know God, consciously contact and know instead of believe, but really know, then we must experience silence in a very deep and profound way. I forget who it was. I want to say Herman Melville, but that might be way off. He references a lot of great authors and poets, like we do in the Wisdom of the Ages on Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, which is right back here for tomorrow. But he says, we all sit around in a ring and suppose, while the secret sits in the center and knows. And so I think of that as this, God's one and only voice, or the mother, or the Tao, or the force, or great spirit, grand organized in design or intelligence. Its voice is silence. And while we all sit around, gabbering about what it is, jabbering, however you would say that, about what it is that we think that it is, the secret sits in the center in silence and knows. So we must get to our center, ladies and gentlemen, through silence, so that we can also know. When you're inclined to get into, do likewise. Remember that this voice, this force's voice is silence. Do likewise, and you'll feel yourself holding on to her in freedom and bliss, thus returning while living. Number 2 here of how Lao-tzu offers the following to you and me through Wayne Dyer to aid in this practice of eternal light in today's world. Number 2, seeing the smallest mystery reveals the grandest mystery. So number 1 was open mouth, spirit escapes, closed mouth, spirit connection, excellent, also with the ears. Number 2, seeing the smallest mystery reveals the grandest mystery. By being attentive to the smallness, you cultivate your desire for clarity. Noting the same spark in microscopic creatures that animates you as a way of exploring life as a return trip rather than a dead end. What seem to be the tiniest mysteries of life lead to an experience of the shining radiance that comes from an appreciation for all that you encounter. And I'll jump in there, ladies and gentlemen. In my research of ancient Egyptian spiritual mysticism and teachings that come to us from Hermetics, or the teachings of Tahath, or Thoth, or Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus, however you would describe that character, that is one of the great teachings of the purpose of life here in our human, material, mortal world is that we hmm, the ability to, it was three things. It was like the ability to know that everything is God and that we are a part of it. But then the second thing, which I found more interesting, which was what was just said here, which is what seem to be the tiniest mysteries of life lead to an experience of shining radiance that comes from, I'll add, an ability that we cultivate through practice and through knowing that what we are seeing is God, everything. And then that gives us the ability to experience the shining radiance that comes from an appreciation for all that we do see. And we'll get into that book one day, ladies and gentlemen. It's kind of a deep one. And I don't know if we're all ready to go there, but if you're ready for some mysticism, ladies and gentlemen, some hermetics and some ancient Egyptian mystical teachings about these same subjects, then leave me a comment in the description below and tell me that you're interested in that. And maybe we can start a series on hermetics, ladies and gentlemen. But so the meaning of life literally is to recognize that we are part of this great force. And then to see the beauty and appreciate it. And then the third meaning of life is to tend to it and keep it well. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. My mom sent me something yesterday, speaking of returning to the mother, or my mom calling earlier. She sent, well, maybe it was a few days ago, but it was a picture of a reading in another Wayne Dyer book that she's reading through that was about how the meaning of life is happiness. And, how it's something that we bring to life, and it's something, that. But so that's another way to look at the meaning of life, ladies and gentlemen. If you're interested in the greatest question that there ever has been, what is the meaning of life? There's some answers for you. I like the Hermetic viewpoint. It's to know that we are a part of the force, and then to see it as so, and then to enjoy the beauty. I'm looking out this little crack of the shades. I had to close the shades because it was really bright, but looking out at the grass across the street over there, it's beautiful green with some red bushes behind it. And so to see the beauty, which I think is the most important part of the meaning of life, to know it, to recognize it, to see it, to enjoy it, and to tend to it and keep it well, ladies and gentlemen. Because we are it, and it is us, and we are here. So, heck, we even have to do that with ourselves. We have to know it and see it and recognize the beauty and enjoy the beauty and then tend to it and keep it well, ladies and gentlemen. That's a life lesson. Boom. Now, we were talking about seeing the smallest mystery reveals the grandest mystery, which we just discovered is the meaning of life. But by seeing the small, we gain this clarity, which is the return trip. So you and the mother who birthed you and everything else are one. And this comes from an appreciation for all that we encounter. By seeing the small, we gain this clarity, which is the return trip we're encouraged to make while we're here. Now our world begins to look very different as we can shift to this new awareness or this new viewpoint. Remember, change your thoughts, change your life. And so now our world begins to look very different as we see originating spirit everywhere. Nothing is viewed as ordinary, inferior, or unwanted anymore. And that makes me think of another great lesson that was like, there was a great teacher who had a student, and the student was trying to seek, enlightenment, and so he was on his journey and whatever, and the teacher said, all right, I want you to go out and sit on this rock out here and come back to me whenever you think you have an important idea, something that is, something that is an important lesson or teaching. And he comes back and many times, and the master many times tells him, no, that is not important. Go back to your rock and keep thinking and come back when you think you have something. And he finally comes back. I think this is in Dan Millman's book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. But he finally comes back, Socrates, and says, all right, master, I've got it now. He says, all right, tell me, what do you think it is? And he's probably going to send him back again. And this time he got it, ladies and gentlemen. He said, there are no ordinary moments. And the master says, yes. He says, that is an important teaching, important lesson. There are no ordinary moments, ladies and gentlemen. Even though it may seem ordinary to you to be sitting here listening to a video of somebody rambling about spirituality or philosophy, or maybe even something that could have been life-changing for you, there are no ordinary moments, ladies and gentlemen. So the next time you're cooking the pasta or cutting the vegetables or whatever it be, remember to really get into it. I mean, use caution when you're cutting the vegetables, of course, but really enjoy each of our moments, because that is what makes up our life, ladies and gentlemen. And there are no ordinary moments. And once we can change our viewpoints to create a new awareness of the world we find ourselves in, the world begins to look very different. And we begin to see this force within everything, and it's everywhere. And then nothing is viewed as ordinary, inferior, or unwanted anymore. I kind of added my words with Wayne's words there. We're speaking together, ladies and gentlemen, to you, so that hopefully you can get value out of this and in turn increase the quality of your life. Now, the reason that we love this book so much, and we have quite a bit left in the Tao, ladies and gentlemen, so don't you worry. We're on verse 52 going to 81. And so we have 52 episodes on this series now. So there's some TV shows that didn't make it to 52 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. Just saying. But at the end of each of these wonderful chapters and verses and teachings, Wayne Dyer gives us an even more practical way that we can apply this wisdom into our life today. And he calls it Do the Tao Now. And so I have this book linked in the description below the video. You can expand the description, get it for yourself, put it on your shelf, and so you can have these little Do the Tao Now references. And today, Wayne Dyer says, do the Tao now. Plan a day dedicated to examining the smallest life forms that you can find. Become a witness to a spider creating a web, a sand crab scurrying along the beach, or a fly buzzing about on the wall. The whole time he's mentioning these small creatures. Just yesterday, forget where I was sitting, but there was flies, here and there. And then I noticed these little baby flies. They're brand new flies. Who knows how much time they have to grow up and be bigger flies and then, continue on the cycle of life. But these little tiny flies, if you can even see the unfolding of God in the tiny flies, ladies and gentlemen, or the midges, or whatever it be. I like the sand crab example, scurrying along the beach. We can come to know this animating force that is referenced here as the mother, or the Tao. And so, take an imaginary trip through our insides, examining all the life forms that reside inside our body, in our bloodstream, or in the lining of our eyes, all creatures that you'd need a powerful microscope to be able to see. Meditate on the mother birthing these little bacteria in order for us to exist in cooperation with them. Experience the way viewing your body through the infinitesimally tiny life that's part of you that also affects us. Living by returning to the mother will provide you with a clarity that you've never experienced before. ladies and gentlemen. Boom. Boom to knowledge, boom to wisdom, and boom to life-changing lessons, ladies and gentlemen. Change your thoughts, change your life, living the wisdom of the day. A round of applause. That was a fantastic one, ladies and gentlemen. They all are. That was a nice and deep one too. And so I'll hold back from rambling on today like I sometimes do at the end of the video. Next week will be, of course, the 53rd verse of the Tao Te Ching, titled Living Honorably. Very interesting. And of course, tomorrow we also have Wisdom of the Ages, ladies and gentlemen. And be sure to join us for that one, because unfortunately, I believe it is the last edition of our Wisdom of the Ages series, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, it comes to us from Dr. Wayne Dyer himself on the topic of awe. I'm already awe-inspired, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you are too. So if you got value from this video, consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, smash the like button and leave me a comment that says, Chase, you're silly, or something, I don't know, funny. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, make it good. And as well, if you'd like to get the book for yourself to put it on your shelf, as you can see, I got a new bookshelf right back there that I got to start building, ladies and gentlemen. I love bookshelves. If I could, I'd have all the walls surrounded in bookshelves. Sorry, I'm rambling again. Be sure to expand the description, get the book for yourself to put it on your shelf. Also get my landscape paintings, if I can point the right way, in the background there. Got a link to my Etsy shop as well as C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant, which is also on the table right there. So I've been taking that for many years now, ladies and gentlemen. And I like to believe it's had a great impact on my life. It's definitely kept me very healthy in the past few years. And as well, ladies and gentlemen, the most important thing, remember, seek to achieve and maintain happiness. Through enlightenment, seek to discover the hidden wisdom of the ages. And remember also, ladies and gentlemen, to begin to make happiness the way, because there is no way to happiness. It is the way. And when happiness is what we bring to life, ladies and gentlemen, the activity that we bring to what it is we are going through, then the goals and the things that we've been telling ourselves, oh, I'll be happy when I finally get there, but I can't be happy now because I'm not there yet. That stops happening, ladies and gentlemen, because we already are there. And then the entire journey becomes wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And I appreciate all of you for being here. I send my love and appreciation to all of those of you who are here with me and not here with me. And I send my thoughts and, positive energy to those of you who may be going through struggling times. We all have our own struggles that we go through. And so, because I talk about happiness and things all the time, doesn't mean that, grief and struggle and pain aren't all real aspects of life. We're just learning how we can help ourselves through those times. So if you are struggling, it's all right. And you can get through it. And we're here for you, ladies and gentlemen, and we love you. Now, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow with some Wednesday wisdom. Stay frosty, ladies and gentlemen. No, 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 no.